taking the time to join this morning's BIA meeting held virtually. It's 7:32, so we'll call the meeting to order. Just to start with, I'd like to welcome Matt Ash. I wasn't expecting his background, but thank you, Matt, for agreeing to join the board and give us some of your time. That's greatly appreciated. I know you'll be a welcome addition to the board, just from my experience of having worked with you over the last bunch of years. So again, greatly appreciate that and look forward to having you on with us. So if we could start, if there's any declarations of pecuniary interest this morning, and I guess we'll just do this by a show of hands or something, or just jump in and say if you have anything. If you don't have anything to say, I guess just stay on mute so we can avoid any issues this morning. But if there's any declarations of pecuniary interest, please say them now. Seeing none, we'll move on to delegations. Nicole, do you know if we have any delegations this morning? I don't believe so.
No delegations.
Okay. And then we'll move on to item 4, which is the minutes from the December 2nd meeting. Trust you've all had a chance to review those. And if there's any comments or questions on those, please let us know. Not hearing any. Could I have someone move to accept those and a seconder, please?
Jen Hermander.
So Harm moves them. Could I get a seconder?
I'll second that.
Okay, all in favor? I'll just assume everyone's in favor unless someone says no. So the minutes are done. And I don't believe there's any business arising from the minutes that we need to address this morning. So we can move on from that. And I guess we jump right into the reports. And with that, we'll move to Lisa with her coordinator's report. And there's 2 of them, one being for the period of November, December, and one being for the period of January. So with that, I'll just hand it over to Lisa for a second.
Thanks, Scott. So considering where we were with COVID, I think we had a really successful holiday season. I'd like to be, I think, where the background is for somebody right now, palm trees. Anyways, the resident contest was our biggest to date. We had 3 times the entries from the previous year. It really helped us build our social media following again. And people seem to really get into it. Lots of shares, lots of stuff happening with that. So that was great. The business contest, again, I had to go out and register the businesses, but we had a pretty good program with that. People got into it, and we had a new winner this year, which was nice to see. The shop dollar promotions this year, it was amazing. And for our program that we run with the chamber, $126,000 were bought, and we have already seen 50,000 of that redeemed since December as well. So that is amazing. To put it in perspective, for the last fiscal year for the chamber, October of 2019 to October 2020, a total of $50,000 were bought for the entire year, and 38,000 were redeemed. For the last fiscal year, October 2020 to not even done, January 2021, $143,000 have been bought, and $59,000 redeemed. So more redeemed than was purchased even the year before. So we're really, really happy with that. The chamber has said that they honestly believe that a large part, the significant reason why this program has done so well is because of the BIA programming that we've done with it. The top up for the last couple years, and then the contest that we ran this year. What was great about the contest, not that it matters, but the 4 people that won the $250, all of them have been supporting the program since the very beginning, which is really nice to see those people being rewarded. I made the draw because Sharon sees who buys everything. And every time I pulled a name, she was ecstatic because the one person in particular, he came in when the program first opened and said, I've heard about this program. I don't know much about it, but I'm here to buy it. So that was really great. We did a library scavenger hunt instead of roaming Santa. And I actually think it went better than roaming Santa because businesses signed up. They wanted to have a book in their store. They were all holiday season books, anything from Kwanzaa to Christmas to just winter books of like Snowman and the hockey sweater. And it just brought people downtown. We had lots of people participate. The library was absolutely thrilled, and it was a lot less work for me to do. So that was really great. And it was something we could do that was safe. So that was all kind of done and noted in my December report. What wasn't noted in that report, but in the most recent report was Ferrero Rocher. I don't know if anybody likes the chocolates, but they reached out to the OBIAA, and any BIA could apply to get chocolates for free and use them however they wanted within their parameters. So I applied for 60 boxes. Because of COVID, I could only get 34. And I decided that they would be a great little treat just to the downtown businesses and the restaurants. It was supposed to be delivered by December 19th. Unfortunately, it didn't come till December 22nd. Again, delays with COVID. And that morning, my family was put into isolation, quarantine, because of a COVID case in my daughter's school. So I called HR, and HR said as long as I had a volunteer sign off on all the paperwork for COVID and safety, that they could deliver it. So I had a BIA ELF deliver 34 boxes of chocolates to downtown businesses and restaurants that I gave a list to. And it just was a really nice little pick-me-up for our businesses that are struggling right now. So I was pretty happy to do that. Are there any questions about the reports? Because if there's not, then I can go into kind of what I'm working on right now.
Lisa, I had one question,
Yeah,
and it's just about on your December report.
sure.
You've noted that Sleep Culture has moved downtown, which I get, but they're also keeping their old location up at the Food Basics Plaza.
Correct.
What is their old location going to be?
Storage.
Okay.
Yeah, they have a lot of product, and where they were storing the stuff, the humidity is a bit of an issue. So for right now, they're keeping it. And they're keeping the sign up, and they still have the product there, but it's not open to the public.
Okay. I'm not going to question the logic of keeping a commercial space at that rate for storage, but I guess if that works for them.
Yeah,
Okay.
I wondered that myself, but that's what she feels is working for her because of the humidity and storage that she needs for bedding. She had it located in so many other places renting that she feels that is more convenient and better for the product.
Okay.
So what's that order in and win thing?
Sorry?
The order in and win?
Oh, yeah. So, yeah, no, that's a promotion that I ran this month. So basically, because we're in lockdown, and to be honest, it's been really hard and challenging in the month of January. It was already difficult to support our businesses with promotions and find something that was safe. So I did a promotion in January that if you ordered in and you posted a picture of your product and you tagged us and the business, you would be entered in to win shop dollars. If you look at the order in and win, the little, I don't know, the social media design that I have in my coordinator's report, I just want to point out that all those pictures are product. They're actually from our local restaurants. Like, I didn't go onto a site to grab pictures. I pulled those from our restaurant pages and use their product. So that was really exciting. And same with the shop local and win. That's all from local businesses. So there's BK, there's Lavish. I think that's Bakelars and KCI. So basically every week randomly I would go on to all my social media and find some posts of people, and then they would win $25. And so we have given out about $200 worth of shop local dollars, and I've just been using it as a way to promote ordering in and shopping, but being safe with the curbside and following all the rules. So it's just something to keep the BIA out there and posting and being, you know, using their tax money for something that's still promoting them. And then on top of that, I've had lots of radio ads on the ranch as well as Blackburn Radio. Does that answer your question?
No, I think it's really neat. I just hadn't seen it, and I'm not on social media, so I wouldn't see it, but I just thought it was really cool.
Thank you. Yeah, I just feel like because everything that I had planned to do so far this year, I'm not doing. And so I just kind of did a quick turnaround so that, one, I'm still providing support to the businesses, but I'm doing it in a way that I think meets all the Huron Perth and provincial rules. So yeah, so that's that. And then I'm trying desperately to redo our video. It's a couple years old. It was really successful the first time we launched it. So I've written the script and I have some filming done with Blackburn, but of course, because of lockdown, we couldn't continue with the filming because we can't go into buildings like restaurants and businesses. So we are hopeful that we can do the filming in February, knowing that we were supposed to be the featured business on Blackburn Radio for the month of March. We'll see what happens with that. We may have to change it, but I do have old footage that we can use. And I do have kind of two scripts. One is that we're still in lockdown, or we're in lockdown here, or we're in red here. And then one is we're back kind of in orange, where you can go into the businesses. And we will just kind of change it out and try to get that done for March 1st within the parameters we are given. So that's something that I'm working on. And then I am working on a new project called, I think I'm calling it Lissoul Loves Local, but of course I'm looking for your feedback on that. So I realized that at the beginning of the January, I wasn't exactly sure what the chamber was doing. I wasn't sure what economic development was doing. And so I asked to meet with all those parties together and with Todd as well. And everyone, of course, was in agreement because we're all trying to do the same thing, which is support our business community. And we all agreed that, you know, we need to move forward with things that support the businesses following the rules. And because I do most of the advertising and promotions, that it made sense that I would focus on some kind of program to get people shopping local and just encouraging people to shop local. So I've been working on a pledge idea similar to what Perth County did, but different. Lots of places in Ontario and Canada and the US had pledge programs during Christmas, but I thought it would be kind of neat to do one during the month of February, tying on the love local, love Valentine's, all that stuff. So I'm thinking of calling it actually Listowel Loves Local. I've debated Love Local, North Perth Local, but I like the idea of Listowel Loves Local because we're the Listowel BIA, and I think it's catchy with the 3 L's. And basically the pledge, where the pledges at Christmas time were just to shop, just, I think Perth County was 70% of your shopping, or other ones that I saw were just to shop local during the holiday season. Mine is a little bit different. So the pledge that I've come up with is I'll continue to take my personal safety and the safety of those around me seriously. As my budget permits, I'll shop at one or more Listowel, and then in brackets, or surrounding North Perth businesses each week, which includes restaurants, retailers, and service providers. When I'm buying a gift for someone I care about, I will consider local options first, and I will use my digital presence, likes, comments, shares, saves, reviews to support local businesses. Those who do that will be entered into a draw to win shop dollars. If they do a testimonial while they're submitting their pledge, which is more than other pledge programs do, they'll get an extra entry. And if they post something on social media and they tag us so that we can actually see it, they will get another entry. So I've been playing with that idea. If I was to move forward, if everyone has no major concerns with that program, I would hope to launch it. I think I can do it by next Wednesday. I have to develop the actual pledge form, but I've asked Jessica from the municipality to help me because she's very talented in that idea. And then obviously it would be on our website. I use our radio ads, I use the chamber sign, and I use social media. The chamber would share it. And I'm just hoping it just kind of builds momentum during this dark time. And well, we have no idea if we're going to be in lockdown or not. So the way the pledge is written is it doesn't really matter if we're in lockdown or we're in orange and you can go into a business. It's that you're committing to shopping or eating in one of those places at least once a week. So what are people's thoughts on that program?
I suppose if it's been successful for others over Christmas, I don't think it's going to hurt.
Yeah, and so the idea is, like, when I've been talking to Kim and Sharon and Todd, is we would try it for a month, and if it was successful, then you could do a different theme. Like, obviously Valentine's in February is hearts, but we don't know what Patty Fest is doing. I've reached out to them. They are selling their lotto tickets. They wanted to do events at the Kin Station, but maybe there's a way to tie into Patty Fest for March. If it's not as successful as we want, then we just do it for the 1 month. I think there's lots of people in Listowel that I know personally that would take this pledge. So, and it's things for me to advertise and to share. If I get testimonials, I can do up really nice social media posts about businesses and just kind of keep linking people to, take the Listowel Loves Local pledge. So, what do people think about Listowel Loves Local versus Love Local versus North Perth Loves Local? Like, what are any thoughts or feelings on that?
I like 3 L's, Lisa. I think you're right. It's kind of catchy.
Okay.
This is the listable BIA.
Yeah, Listowel Love's local. That's good.
Yeah, I was thinking that just because it's our businesses, the BIA businesses that essentially pay for me to be here and to be doing all this work. So, but it will say in it, you know, Listowel and North Perth businesses just to promote North Perth. And we're, you know, I hate the line, we're all in this together, but that kind of stuff. So, and I would like people not just in Listowel to take this pledge. I would like anyone in North Perth to take the pledge. So if everyone's okay with that, I'll tweak it this afternoon, and then start working with Jessica to hopefully launch it next week. I'd really love if you see it to please take the pledge yourself, share it on your social media if you are on social media, because it helps. The more people that see it, obviously, the better. Okay, so
Lisa,
yes.
there's no budget implications, right? This is all stuff that's coming out of approved budgets and everything.
No, so one of the things I'm going to talk about is the chamber, and we have money because of changes to the chamber. So there's absolutely no cost. It's $500 for the BIA to run this program, obviously on my time, but Todd and Kim are going to look into, if we go beyond a month, Todd and Kim are going to look at maybe them finding the money to do the next month and pay for it. So we're going to see how the first month goes and go from there. I'll jump to the chamber and then I'll come back to my other stuff. But basically we have $2,000 because the chamber summit that we agreed to sponsor has been canceled. They're not going to run it because they really want to do it in person. They're worried about doing it online. And so they've agreed as a board not to do that program. So I don't necessarily want to use the full $2,000, but we have that money and there's absolutely no impact to our budget. So I feel like we can do this and we might be able to do a few other things. From those meetings that we've been having with Kim and Sharon and Todd, came out a project that the chamber is working on, and it is called the North Perth Business Group. And it's on Facebook, and it's for business owners or assigned employee for a place to share, to get resources, to have discussions, to look at mentorships. And it's basically to support businesses now. And the chamber is in charge of it overall, but the BIA is kind of partnering with them. So when you go onto the page, you'll see our logo. I've been sharing information on there. I'm going to continue to share information on there as I see it. And basically, it's just something that the chamber is doing to support local businesses. They're looking at doing a few other projects, but right now, none of those projects we would have either a financial role or a significant role in. And it looks like the lifestyle show probably will not happen as well. So they are having to change what they're doing. So they're just kind of figuring that out right now. I know I had a question about storefronts. I think I'm up to date as best as I can be. Obviously, it's hard to go into businesses right now. But when I look at like a traditional storefront, I don't see any that are available. But if anyone knows of one that's available, please let me know, because I'm not out there all the time. Most of you, I think, know I'm immune compromised. So I've been not really leaving my house a lot unless I absolutely have to. So it's a little bit more challenging keeping up on what's open and what's not. So please just let me know. Hey, Lisa, I don't know if you noticed. But as of right now, I don't know of a normal storefront that's available. We have space above KCI. We have space in that one apartment style building behind the municipality, but an actual storefront, I think they're all taken or they're closed up as they're getting prepared for someone who's taken them, which is kind of surprising, but also great considering what we're going through.
I thought I'd seen a for lease sign still on the old Movies Plus More.
Yeah, so it says for lease, Brad, as far as I know, but when you actually go up to the building, unless that's been taken down in the last week or two, which it could be, so I'll do a run by, it says that they're trying to make it like a, cannabis store. So,
Yeah,
I'm
there's
not
indication currently on the Ontario website to turn
right.
it into a cannabis store.
So I'm not sure why they don't take that for lease information down, because as far as I know, it's been purchased, I think, and they want to make it another cannabis store. So, okay, quickly, the facade improvement plan that we agreed to partner and provide money to is moving along. Lee, who's in charge of the program, is sent out surveys to residents and business owners, and he's just trying to get feedback on that. I actually have a meeting with him today at 10. We're going to talk about where he's at, where he's going, next steps, and obviously BIA involvement. So I'll know more for our next meeting. I reached out to the high school about a potential co-op student if they could work from home. I talked to HR about that and what that would look like. And basically it would just be someone to help me with the directory that I never seem to have time to work on. I haven't heard from them, and I'm going to try to piddle away at it over the next few months since I'm not doing Win the Space, but a free student that is technically savvy would be really, really helpful. So I'm hoping something comes out of that, but I don't know. And then the other thing that we wanted to talk about, Scott and I together, there's two, that's the letters, but it's also the AGM and the meeting schedule. So our AGM is planned for April, which is 2 months away. And we can move forward with that, but we just did have an AGM because it got delayed so many times in September. And also, I'm not sure at this point we could do it in person. So I'm fine to proceed to do like a virtual AGM, or I'm happy to wait even a month or two in the hopes that we can be in person. And then also just wanted to talk about the schedule in general. We don't have a meeting booked for March. We were to go to our AGM in April. Do we like meeting monthly? Do we want to revisit that? I'll maybe give it to Scott to lead that discussion.
Yeah, so this was a topic that I flagged with Lisa, and it was something that's been going through my head about just how to keep members engaged and to make sure that people actually have an interest in attending these meetings and feeling like they're worthwhile. So my thought behind that was, in general, do we want to make these bi-monthly meetings instead of monthly? Just so that there's more on the agenda, the meetings cover more material. They're not as onerous on people's time, just for a variety of reasons. And one of them being that I know every meeting we have like this takes Lisa a significant amount of time to prep for the meeting, do her report, and basically the hour and stuff that we have the meeting. So maybe if we condense those or something, that was just an idea that was tabled. So that's why it's on the agenda. And if there's any thoughts about that, we don't have to decide about it exactly today, but it is something that it was going through my head. Just if that would help with board member engagement and people's resources and time as well. So I throw that out there to see what people think.
The only thoughts I would have on that is maybe still have Lisa do some kind of update of some kind, not the full length maybe, but just to kind of keep the board up to date on what has happened in the month that we didn't have a meeting. And the only other concern is, would Fran have any issues with, motions on those expenses and so on? I don't have a problem with the bi-monthly, but just check with Fran that there's no issues with motions for those payments, that's all.
If I might, that's fine. We're good. If the board decides to do it every other month, we can work with that.
Hi, Fran. I'm I'm happy to do more of a summary, quick report, more focusing maybe on the projects. I could take out the space information and the social media information and the general information, but just give an update, even an email update that would say this is a project. So if we didn't meet next month, you would get an update on the Listowel Loves Local pledge campaign, as well as any other more advertising and marketing information, because I think that's what's most interesting and important for you guys to know what I'm doing, things that link to our marketing plan. I'm happy to do that. That's a significant less amount of time. About a year ago, my review was one of the things is you really want a lot of information at these meetings and me to come prepared. So I took that very seriously. And obviously I put a lot of time into preparing in these meetings. They do take a lot of time, and I am part-time. So I feel like it's helpful if I don't have to give as much in the off month if we went that way. But I'm, open to what you as the board feels is best for you and also the businesses. Regardless if we have meetings, as you've seen, we didn't have one in January. I push along and I'm working on things. So it's really what you feel would be most engaging and helpful to the board members. Lots of other boards don't meet monthly. Some meet quarterly, some meet every other month. I think some meet monthly. So I've reviewed our bylaw. It doesn't have a stipulation that we have to meet monthly. It doesn't have a stipulation on how often we have to meet. I do think we need to meet at least every other month. And, if there was something pressing happening, then we might need to have an extra meeting. So I don't know what else anyone else is thinking, but that's kind of my thoughts.
Brad, Harm, Matt, any of you guys have any thoughts on this? Or
I think just a quick update. We'll have to just decide what we'd want on the off month for an update, just to make sure it's going to save Lisa some time. And I think it works for me, as long as we have that one quick update, and then maybe a little bit of a timeline of when we can respond back. Like if we send out the update, and if we have anything of concern, then we can respond back within a few days or whatever. Say give it 4 days or a week if there's any concerns we have. But other than that, we just forge ahead and move on. So
I have no idea.
Is it going to affect our pay at all?
Yeah. As long as it doesn't impact mine.
well, we don't have a meeting scheduled for March anyway, so why don't we? Do you want to move it forward that we come up with a schedule for the rest of the year and we present that at the April meeting, and then we can deal with it then? Or is this something we should deal with now, or we don't have an April meeting because of the AGM?
Well, that's the question. Are we keeping the AGM? Are we going to change the April meeting to a regular meeting? Because the problem is we can't wait to decide. I need to kind of know today, because according to our bylaw, I need to send out a month's notice about an AGM, which means that Nicole and I need to start working on the invitations and getting them out to people, and also figuring out what the AGM is going to look like, because we had hoped to do something learning. It's a little bit harder to do virtual. I can try to figure something out, but it's going to be tight. So I do need to know today. We have to agree today.
Mr. Chair, I think that we should go ahead with an AGM in April, and I think the community is essentially owed that at this point. I think we can trust the coordinator to come up with an appropriate virtual plan for that meeting. It still would be nice if there were, a keynote address. Certainly, I've seen a number of web conferences do that well, and so I think there's still some merit in having some kind of keynote address, even if it's an encouragement from other businesses. Things that have been done wisely during the pandemic might be an interesting theme. But I do believe that we should proceed with an AGM this year.
Yeah, Scott, I would say, I think the last AGM was weak because of the pandemic, and I think that this year is going to be the same as well. So I would just forge ahead and do it in April as well, and just for the sake of getting it done. I don't know that waiting and hoping things are going to open up and so on, I don't think that's going to make a big difference. I don't think it's worth waiting for, waiting for a year, hoping this would all open up, and it's not. So I would probably just go ahead. People are going to understand this year is going to be another off year, and look forward to a great one next year.
I'm totally fine with that. I think it's a good idea. And maybe, like Todd said, we could get some type of just a brief overview of, like you said, things that have been done well, or things that we can encourage businesses to do. If we could get them to participate virtually is another question. But yeah, I'm fine with moving ahead in April, if that's okay with Lisa and Nicole, if that gives us enough time to get done what needs to be done.
Yeah, I'm hesitant that I'll have figured out a keynote, but I can indicate that on the invitation if I need to, like keynote to be announced later or something. I'll word it better than that, because I am trying to get this launch of the program done over the next week. But once it launches, then hopefully I'll have the time. And Nicole's amazing with helping me get the invitations out. So I definitely think I can do it. The one question I had, I think it will most likely be virtual. So what time of day? In the past, we've had it in the evening with some food and a keynote, and it's been a really nice social time. Do we want to stick with evening? Do we want to do lunch? Do we want to do early morning? Because probably the keynote will not be in person regardless. I don't know. It's really hard to plan that. So if we are going to move forward, just what time people think they would want that to happen, so that it's in the invitation.
Yeah, I'd be okay with an evening, and April's great with me. You can always have a keynote to be determined. But other than that, that moves ahead and updates community what we're doing, and
So,
hope for next year.
So you're thinking like 7, Brad? That's what you're feeling?
Yeah, about the same time as usual. There's some people through the day that won't be able to make it and might be more relaxed to pursue it at that time.
I would agree. I think an evening would be better than a lunch.
Okay, I'm fine with that. I think we'll keep Nicole. I'm blanking. Was it like April 7th or something that we had? Do you know? Sorry to put you on the spot. I think it's April 7th. So
Yes,
April.
I believe April 7th.
So if everybody could please save that date, April 7th at 7 p.m. And leave it with me. I will figure something out, and I'll work with Nicole. and I will make sure that that's in my March update, so that that'll be part of the update that I'm sending out. And hopefully by my March update, I will have what I'm actually gonna do as a keynote. So I'll start pondering ideas about that. So that's really helpful. And the last thing we had, again, I'm gonna let Scott take the lead, is the letters.
Yeah, so thank you for that, Lisa. And Sean knows nothing about this because he wasn't copied on the email that I sent out last night, and neither were Ashley or some other people. So the thought was to generate some thank you letters to people that have been on the board for a considerable amount of time. One being Sean Eaton and his role as chair, and the other being John Kerr, who recently left us as well. But we got a better replacement with Matt. So, but it's just a recognition letter to send out to them to say thank you for your time on the board. And there was a couple of drafts which Lisa did up for me, which I would basically, I think, just print out here in my office, sign them, and then we could mail them to them directly. I know when I get things like that in my work, I sometimes them and put them in a frame around my office or on a desk. That's what I do. I don't know what they will do, but it's just some level of recognition for the time and commitment that they put on the board. But in the email I sent out last night, I'm also interested in the board's thought about creating some type of criteria for that to happen, be it length of service or something like that. Just that we have had some people who've been on the board for a long time, such as Sean, which should be recognized. And then we've had people who've come on the board for a couple months, and then all of a sudden they're gone again with, we have that void to fill. So I don't know whether they deserve the same recognition. Actually, in my opinion, they don't. So I don't know if it's 1 year or what the stipulation or criteria would be. So that's why I'm just looking for some direction from the board on that. And then potentially we could just set that up as a recurring thing that we know what to do when a board member leaves or someone leaves the board going forward. So if there's any thoughts or discussion about that, that would be great.
Seems like I'm being pushed into retirement, it sounds like. That's okay. One thing, when you talk about that timeline, though, I think, or check the bylaws, but isn't it a 2-year term?
It is.
When you come on, so it should be at least a minimum 2 years, I would imagine, right?
Yeah. I don't know what people are thinking, but my thought was anyone who takes on the chair, if they do it for their term, should get a letter. And I think if you finish your term with the BIA, regardless of how long that is, if you commit to 2 years, I think it's nice to get a letter. But I don't know if people agree with that or not. But
I think good recognition and reward program, similar to other institutions, they have it. And after somebody commits 2 years to it, I think they should get a letter of recognition. Certainly what Sean's put in, and that definitely deserves a recognition. So some sort of program that way. So maybe a 2-year recognition, and we might have you might end up with a 4 or 6 year recognition or 10-year recognition, maybe something a little different, but some sort of program we should put some thought into that.
so the other thing, just so everyone knows, one of the things that every year the mayor and the municipality offer some kind of appreciation event. And every board member is also encouraged and welcome and invited to attend that as part of the recognition and thank you for being on the board. And I know I can't remember what happened last year, but the year before, there was like an appetizer evening event that I went to, and I think a few people from the board went to. And it's just a really nice night that says thank you for contributing to the municipality, to North Perth, for making it the vibrant, wonderful place it is. So we do have that set up through the municipality already. And so I'm just reminding everyone that that does exist. And obviously through the pandemic, I'm not sure, but I know that's also where the Citizen of the Year award is. I know Todd's been trying to do some extra awards. And it's just a really nice way that the municipality recognizes board members and volunteers.
So I assume everyone's fine with the letters and we'll just move ahead with those. And then maybe Lisa and I can put together some thoughts about, well, I agree with the 2-year minimum as a requirement if that's stipulated in the bylaw. But yeah, Brad raises an interesting point, whether that should be changed at all if someone's on for 5 years, 10 years, or forever like Sean. So, but yeah, we can talk about that later. But for right now, we'll just move ahead with the letters that are drafted and basically get those issued here shortly. If that's okay with everyone.
That's good with me.
Okay. Lisa, do you need or would you like a motion on the Listowel Loves Local thing, just so there's a record from the board endorsing you doing that?
I would love that, please. Yes, please.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
And all in favor? I'm sure that carries. And do you need any kind of a motion on having the AGM in April? Do you want that clarified as well?
No, because it was already in our schedule. So it was just me. I would have wanted a motion if we were moving it, but you've all agreed to keep it. So unless Nicole thinks I need something, I think it's fine.
Yeah, actually, if we could get a motion, Lisa, Fran just sent me a message saying that it would be a good idea to have one for the AGM. Please.
Okay. Then yes, I would like one.
Okay. I motion for it to continue in April.
I'll second.
All in favor of that? And that's carried as well. And coming out of Lisa's materials, I didn't have anything else wrote down that may need a motion. But if you can think of anything, Lisa or Nicole, by all means, let me know.
Okay.
So Lisa, I think that wraps you up. Is that correct?
That is, unless there's any questions for me.
Okay. Well, thank you for that. So we can move on to item number 7, which is the financial report. And everyone should have received the list of accounts payable that are owed for the various time periods for a total of $6,027.98. Fran, I don't know if you have anything you want to add to these, or Lisa at all before the board moves on them.
No, there's been some bills that have come in that aren't reflected that I just gave to Karen and Fran late last week and early this week regarding advertising. So you'll see them for next time. So I have actually spent more money this year than is shown, but Fran and Karen didn't have those receipts.
Okay. So the only question that I had, and I'm probably making it look like I'm trying to be active as a chair, and I should stop that. But just wondering why does the wireless amount fluctuate every month? Are we not on a set contract where it's a flat fee?
It's set by how much you use it. So when I have long distance calls or I'm using more data, which depending on the month and depending on what I'm doing for my job, it moves me into the next level. So then before I had my old phone, I could barely do anything on my phone. So it never really moved. But so when you go over, if you're under one, I don't know, is it gigabytes? I'm not good with that stuff. It's a certain number. And then if you move into the next gigabytes of data, it's a certain number. So I think for January, it was less than December. I can't remember because it reflects how much I'm using it for my job.
I'm good with that. Was there any other questions from anybody about the accounts? Okay, could I get a mover and a seconder to move forward and make those payments?
I'll make a motion that the accounts as listed.
I'll second it, Herminder.
And all those in favor? Assuming everyone? That is carried. Okay. So then we're moving on to item number 8, which is the council update. And if I could ask Mayor Todd to give us an update on what council's been doing.
Yes, thank you, Scott. It has been a busy period since my last report to the group, but I'll try to keep it bullet pointed and invite questions. First, we have gotten through our municipal budget process, and the BIA budget was moved through that process without concern or objection. So we are at the stage of bringing back to council after a public engagement the full budget. But at this point, our work largely is finished. There will be a 3% increase this year, and a lot of that is related to the considerations for the taxpayers in the period of COVID-19. Fran can answer more questions about this, but it's a fairly austere budget, and yet allows us to continue with much of the work of the corporation. One change that council did make, and again, Fran can offer more comment if you're interested, is we did give direction to move to full recovery of costs for waste and wastewater, and so some of the funds that had been subsidizing that from taxpayers has now been moved out based on our projections to full recovery. People will see increases in prices at the landfill and so forth. The community improvement program, you saw that there's a lot of work happening. Lisa has referenced that she has a meeting soon, I believe. And so that continues, and we're encouraged by that. The Children's Museum project, which morphed into an agricultural science center, was cautiously advanced by council. There were 2 requests. We approved one of them, which was the grant of land. The second was related to operating costs, and that would take place in 2024, and this council is not prepared to make that commitment. Council had to gulp and bite the cost of new baseball lights, which in the Bell Diamond in Listowel Memorial Park, the costs were substantially more than originally projected, and it was a painful experience to have to deal with that, but we did deal with that. We had a lovely opportunity. I solicited a new program, and a grant was received by the Gateway Rural Community Health Center, and we're launching a seniors contact program called Lonely No More in the coming months. And so kudos to our community to have a new program that will help isolated seniors have social connections using telephone technology. Council took a report on admin process review that was undertaken by consultants. That was very interesting, and that report is available online. We also made a decision about downtown and public Wi-Fi. We've shelved this when we saw the cost of the Listowel project in particular, and I think council's interest lies more fully with rural broadband. That is to this committee's attention, a project that we're about to get some announcements on because the Perth County project for SWIFT is pending, and we should hear announcements about procurements for that shortly. Council had to deal with the arena ice, and I encouraged the rec department to be creative, and so now we have 3 outdoor rinks that are fully functional, and we've left the ice in at Steve Kerr at this point, but are removing it from the other 2 arenas in the area. The Council also approved a letter, sort of a support letter, complaining to the province about the fire college's closure. That was a very sudden and unexpected move, and will be costly to the municipality. And so we concurred with another municipality that had sent a complaint to the province about this. We also did our part to extend the work contract of the climate change coordinator for Perth County by allocating funds to the contract and showing our intent to participate with other Perth County municipalities. We embarked on a process of reviewing departmental business plans that align with the new strategic plan that was approved by council last year. And so that process started at last Monday night's meeting, an interesting process indeed. And I can tell you the documentation is available, as I understand it, from our website, but importantly, right now, the business plans as submitted by departments are showing that the municipality is between 10 and 14 full-time equivalent staff members short. This is a pretty significant staff burden, actually, and there is work for us to do to try to close that gap. As some of you probably saw in media, demolition has begun at the Listowel Memorial Arena. As well, Council is expecting a report about the redevelopment of that site. I want to report on two community things that I've taken note of, and that this group should know about as well. A grant was received. United Way was instrumental. The Salvation Army was instrumental for the implementation of a hot meal program on Tuesday evenings, Tuesday supper hour in North Perth, and the Salvation Army is the lead on that project. And by all accounts, I hear it's extremely well received. I believe the funding extends through the winter months, and subscription, the number of people using it is perhaps more substantial than one might hope as mayor, but that is certainly within the budget and is doing a lot of good for those who are looking for a reasonable meal. And finally, perhaps an extension of a challenge to this group, if you haven't heard about it, the North Perth Committee of the United Way, pardon me, is sponsoring a first-time fundraising event in North Perth, although it's not a new fundraising event, called the Coldest Night of the Year. And this is an event, an individual walkathon. So you create teams, and each member of the team walks between the mid of February and the end of February, basically. And you get pledges and donations, which are turned into the fundraising event. The funds will be used to support and address homeless projects in our community. So I invite everyone on the board to consider whether their business can jump in. There is a website, and perhaps Lisa can share that in the aftermath with those on the board. I believe to date we are just shy of $30,000 already pledged, which is wonderful. I also was threatened with a challenge from from Goderich. The Goderich mayor was rattling his saber, suggesting that perhaps he would challenge us to a fundraising duel. The more that we can secure involvement from, perhaps the better off we'll be, both against the real objectives of supporting homeless eradication in North Perth and taking on Mayor Grace's challenge. So if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Thank you, Mayor Todd. Was there any questions on anything that was presented?
Chair Patterson, if I just might add to the mayor's comments this morning, he mentioned that the increase was 3%, and I'd just like to reinforce the fact that the impact on the taxpayer is much less than that. Because of our growth in assessment, the impact comes down to around 2 or less, but 1.7%. I do have to mention too that for businesses and industrial and commercial both, that the school board levy, the province has reduced it as well. So that is a very positive thing in this time of COVID. And I just wanted to highlight that even though the percentage indicates the 3%, it certainly is less. There will be a presentation, public engagement that the mayor referred to, and in that engagement it does sort of outline in detail not only the increases in some of the fees, but then the stabilization of the tax base amount, making it less of an impact. And so you can kind of, we put it all together in that presentation such that the public will be able to see sort of the net effect on their wallet as to what happens. So that was council's request to do that at the last budget meeting. And I think it'll be quite interesting to see just how those impacts play out.
Thank you, Fran. Any questions from the board? Hearing none, we can move on to number 9, which is correspondence. I'm not aware of any correspondence, Lisa or Nicole. I don't think anything's come in.
Nothing from my end.
Okay.
No correspondence.
So then we can jump on to item number 10, which is other business. And if we could get an economic development update from Kim, that would be great.
Okay. Morning, everyone. So the mayor did touch on a few items, so we'll just keep this as brief as possible. So as Lisa mentioned as well, Lee Barrett, who is our CIP planner for the RED project that we're working on, has been moving along well, and there are currently surveys still active for both business and residents. Lee's been reaching out to individual businesses just to make sure we've got good response levels. And the next phase will be focus groups and interviews. So we'll definitely be doing those remotely, but there's been a really strong interest from the resident side, which is touching on how people would like to see their downtowns, and the information from both the resident and the business surveys will be used to inform the programs that are recommended to council. That recommendation is slated for between March and April. And I just also wanted to let you know that the capital project for the RED program did go to council. We do appreciate the donations from the BIA at the $10,000 in both 2020 and 2021. The municipality budgeted, I believe it was $27,000 approximately for that project, plus the grant or loan portion. So that's still to be determined, the method that will be used. We'll be incorporating best practices, but generally $75,000 is what was requested of council for that program, and how it will be laid out will be finalized in the coming months. And just so you know, from a budget standpoint, the commitment of council to that program in Listowel and across North Perth. Just wanted to share that. And so that project continues to move. The project itself will be rolling out in the summer into the fall, and would be ending the end of November of 2021. So the mayor did also talk about the Wi-Fi project that we've been working on. And so at this point, it is quite costly, and I was glad to hear council's support or preference perhaps for an investment. It's definitely come to light during COVID, the importance of broadband to businesses across North Perth. So we'll see how that continues to progress. The North Perth Economic Development Advisory Committee is up and running, meeting bi-monthly, and we've had some really great input from the different business sector leaders to date, and we will be selecting projects and priorities over the coming months of areas that they would like to be focusing on. The Children's Museum, I've been working with that group to finishing up their final reporting for the Trillium Foundation funding that was received for the feasibility study, and then moving into next steps for them. I know that they were quite pleased in the council support of the concept and of conditional provision of land, but they are still moving into a pretty significant capital funding next steps. The business pulse survey. So as Lisa was mentioning, we've been working together with the BIA and the Chamber, and Mayor Todd have been attending. And we have submitted, hopefully you've all seen the second business pulse survey that's gone out to businesses. We've had a pretty good response so far. Just trying to get a sense of the current impression or impact of a variety of topics from COVID to help us inform and to guide some of the responses that we may have, some of our actions moving forward. So the focus of that survey is on the impact of COVID. Some businesses we've heard, it's been pretty very varying levels of impact, both positive and negative, to just trying to get a better understanding of that. The satisfaction level of online marketing that they currently have, some impressions on the e-commerce marketplace, why we did have not a very strong support of that project, just trying to understand better and if there's anything we can do to help make that more of interest and a benefit to business, as well as looking at delivery for businesses as they whether they're satisfied with their current delivery options to their customers, and other ideas. So that's something that's out there right now, and we'd encourage you to share that and to be promoting it. We have also been doing some promotion, the Shop in North Perth this winter promotion, emphasizing our North Perth Eats and Business Directory, as well as the e-commerce platform. And we've been regularly promoting that. That's also been on the ranch and on Blackburn Radio, and we'll be continuing to do that. And the final item I want to talk on, I think I've mentioned about Driftscape app in the past. We are going to be in the next month loading that information, and we'll start to put the information out there for people to look at experiences, places and events and things like that. At this point, emphasizing things for people to do virtually, but it'll set a good groundwork for as things do open and people are able to socially distance and go out and experience things like our trails and some of our venues and farm dates, and just to have it more interactive, with the hope of it being it's a very large province-wide app, so that people who are from other communities might see it, and it might help draw people into the community, as well as being of interest to our youth and the more youth demographic, or youth people who are considering relocating, just to let them know the things that they can do in the community. So those are really the highlights that I just wanted to bring forward today. Any questions, I'm happy to answer.
Thank you, Kim. Any questions for Kim from anyone? Not hearing any. If we can move on to an update on Perth County. Good morning, Ashley.
Good morning, everyone. So first, I think we can get my report up here. Yep. First, I'll talk about our business check-in calls. So we recognized that survey fatigue was becoming an issue. So instead, in December, we undertook a series of telephone check-in calls with businesses across various sectors across our municipalities. The calls were designed to understand the current and future needs of businesses to ensure our programming and COVID response was meeting those needs. Some of our findings included When asked what programming we could offer, many businesses were satisfied with the level of support and marketing currently being provided. Despite the many programs and financial assistance available, PPE continued to be in need. So many businesses anticipate their usual off-season in January and February, so are better equipped to deal with the slowdown during this period. But they stated that a second lost busy season, so the spring and summer, would be very damaging, particularly for restaurants and accommodations. Prior to the lockdown, some local businesses had experienced an offsetting of lost sales with new customers who would have previously traveled into larger urban centers to do their shopping. These are local customers who are staying local now to avoid rising case counts and crowded big box retailers. So that was one thing that was good to hear. Our digital service squad, our team member Clara Lini remains available for one-on-one assistance for businesses. She can help address digital needs such as getting businesses online, setting up e-commerce, social media, website strategy, and more. And Clara is available up until March 9th. Ontario Business Grants. So applications opened on January 15th for the Ontario Small Business Support Grant, which was first announced back in December. The grant provides eligible businesses that have had to restrict their operations due to the lockdown between $10,000 and $20,000 to help stop the spread of COVID-19 in Ontario. Businesses approved for the grant can expect to get their money within approximately 10 business days. Next, we have the Highly Affected Sectors Credit Availability Program. So this is being offered through the federal government and is available to businesses across the country in all sectors that have been hard hit by the pandemic. This includes restaurants, businesses in the tourism and hospitality sector, and others that rely on in-person service. So through this program, the Business Development Bank of Canada will work with Canadian financial institutions to offer government guaranteed low interest loans. And you can read here some more information on eligibility and the funding. I'll move on to the Main Street Relief Grant for PPE. So for this, eligible businesses in specific sectors can apply to receive a one-time grant of up to $1,000 to help with the unexpected costs of PPE. Next, I have an update on PC Connect. So PC Connect has continued to operate responsibly throughout the provincial emergency orders. At this time, excuse me, PC Connect is encouraging all residents to stay home and to only use the service for essential travel, such as to access employment, healthcare services, groceries, pharmacy, essential services like those. So all of our communications right now are focused on emphasizing essential travel only and educating riders on how to travel safely and responsibly. The PC Connect system continues to operate with a series of enhanced safety measures, such as 50% reduced capacity, mandatory face coverings, and more. We're working on developing strategic marketing plans that will grow ridership when it's safe and responsible to do so. And so the 50% off fare discount has been extended to March 31st, 2021. And another element we're really excited about is a new fare discount that has been developed for organizations to buy fare passes in bulk at 20% off or 50% off until March 31st. So to date, nearly 800 prepaid passes have been sold to various organizations around Perth County. And you can see in this ridership report that obviously ridership has gone down in January with the lockdown announcement, but as COVID-19 starts to reduce and it's safe to promote the service for non-essential reasons, we're looking forward to growing ridership on all routes. I'll move on to the Discover More Flavor Farm Gate map. So I've mentioned this at the past few meetings, and the program revamp is currently happening. So new businesses can still join the program on an ongoing basis at www.perthcounty.ca/farmgate by completing a simple online form. Something exciting that's been happening over the last few weeks is signage deliveries. So I encourage you to watch for Discover More Flavor signage items to appear over the next few months. Currently, 2 North Perth Farmgate businesses have their signage items, which are Hoover's Maple Syrup and Harwell Farms. Tourism support grant. So you may have seen on our social media in the last couple of weeks, we have been promoting these new grant opportunities. We're working in partnership with RTO4 to implement the Tourism Adaptation and Recovery Program, as well as the Technology Investment Program to support tourism businesses in our region. Applications for these funding opportunities closed February 1st at midnight. We're reviewing applications this week, and businesses should be notified by February 15th on if their application was successful or not. We're working on a new support program that will benefit accommodation and restaurant industries in Perth County. These programs are going to provide some direct financial support as well as some marketing and another fun program. So you can stay tuned in the coming weeks for more details on that. As well, we have our next PPE support for Perth County businesses. So this was in part a response to our check-in telephone calls we did and responding to the need that businesses were expressing that despite all the help, those costs of PPE are still something that they're facing. So similar to the first round of PPE support packages we distributed in the fall, we're preparing a similar program to help businesses prepare for a safe reopening. So you can also stay tuned in the coming weeks for more details on that program. And that's it for my update, unless anyone has any comments or questions.
Thank you, Ashley. Oh, sorry, Kim, go ahead.
One thing I just wanted to add that for the Digital Service Squad, I did get some feedback from Clara Laney about the program in North Perth. We were just curious to know of the uptake in North Perth to the program. And she said that 21 businesses in North Perth had participated. I'm waiting to hear back like details on what types of involvement they had, but that was good. And that was definitely the largest across the county. So we'll continue to be encouraging businesses to support the program. And we were also curious to know what, like without business names, what businesses were successful in getting some of the transformation funding. So hopefully we've had some businesses that were successful in getting that, because you know moving to online is definitely not going to end. And yeah, well, I just thought I'd share that information because that was encouraging. It's a great program.
If it's of interest, Kim and BIA, I can ask Clara before she leaves to provide a more detailed report on businesses helped and what kind of assistance she gave.
That would be great. I mean, I have asked her for that, but if she could give a more detailed report that could be shared more broadly, that would be great.
Any further questions for Ashley or Kim? Hearing none. There isn't a topic on the agenda for new business. I assume there is no new business that anyone wants to discuss this morning, but if there is by the board, please let me know. Okay, then we can move on to item number 11, which is everyone's favorite time of the day, which is the adjournment. And as far as next meeting goes, so based on the discussion we had previously, we are not meeting in March and we're moving to the AGM in April. Is that a correct understanding?
That's correct, Scott. April 7th for the AGM, 7:00 p.m.
Okay, anything further from anybody on the board? And if I could have a mover and a seconder to adjourn the meeting?
I move to adjourn the meeting.
Do we have a seconder? And all those in favor? I'm sure that's carried. Okay, thank you everyone. Have a great day.